Often when you learn closed guard, you're shown a lot of different techniques, but they're actually really difficult to get to when you go into sparring. So this video, I'm gonna give a quick system to overview how to actually set these techniques up in sparring. So the first thing to understand with attacking from closed guard is to do pretty much any attack, I have to break his posture forward. If he's up really tall, it's hard to go for arm bars, it's hard to go for triangles, so we need to bring him forward. So just to demonstrate, if he puts his hands in the air like Frankenstein here, if I do this kind of pulling my knees to my chest and crunching really tightly, I create this off balance motion that pulls him forward and breaks his posture. Of course, when I do that, he's actually going to frame and use his hands to support himself. There's four main ways he will do this. He will either put his hands on the floor to get support. He'll put both hands on the hips low like this to get support. He'll do one high, one low to get support, or he'll go both high. So all I need to do is develop a good answer for how to break each of those postures and then trap him in a position that I can attack from. So the first one I'm going to focus on is both hands on the hips. When he has both hands on the hips, he has control, but it's very easy to pull him over top of his own hands. So I'm going to grab both lapels. I do that same crunch motion and pull my knees to my chest, and you'll see it kind of buckles him over the hands. So as he goes here, he has to switch his hand position because it's no longer supporting him. So very often he will go to the floor. He could come to my chest. I'll show you how to deal with that later. So very often he'll kind of come to the floor and I immediately go over and grab behind this tricep. I'm gonna really fast shrimp out and I wanna trap this arm. Once I trap, I could go to the belt and leave my foot on the hip like this to trap so it's locked in. I could overhook and feed the lapel like this. If it was no-gi, I could just control like this. I just wanna make sure this arm is isolated. So once I've isolated this, now it's very easy to force the triangle. I just block his bicep. I shrimp out on my side because the more I'm on my side, the easier it is to bring the leg out. From here, I block the bicep, I grab the wrist if needed, and I come around for the triangle choke here. If he lifts his arm up a little bit, sometimes instead of going this way, I'll go around the outside, I release and hit the triangle. Once I hit the triangle, I just lock, I bridge my hips, push the arm across the body to prevent him from posturing, control the head. I like to open my leg a little bit as I adjust because I want his neck to cut in tightly to my leg. Like if you imagine a nutcracker, it has the most force when it's all the way in, right? So even if this looks tight, there's this little gap here that I can't finish. I want my legs straight so I can cut down, and now I lock in here, and then I can finish with just using my legs. So another really common situation from this overhook situation is your opponent will get his forearm really tight to your body. So from here, it's really hard to push. So I come up on my elbow, I pummel my fingers in first, and now I can slide back and use my forearm on the inside. Once I get my elbow tight in here, it's very difficult for him to get back in, and I can slowly grind my way out. Pretty much all he can do is try to pull his arm back, but I can block, and this eventually leads to the wrist. Once I get the wrist, I try to get more distance and it becomes really easy to pull out and finish. So the next main position the guy's gonna be in is one high and one low. In this case, if I try to do the initial pull, he has so much frame here, it's very hard to break him down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a cross sleeve grip. I pummel underneath, grab my own wrist. I'm gonna make my left wrist really strong like this, and I drive that into his wrist. That's gonna break his grip. I don't immediately drag it across because often he's gonna re-grab the lapel. So once I break, I grab his wrist. Now when he tries to grab my lapel, I can use that momentum to drag the sleeve across. From here, I'm gonna switch my hand to the tricep first. I don't go straight to the back because he's often gonna try to pull his elbow back. So I wanna freeze this here and go ahead and pull it back. Now I shrimp out and I wanna sit up and bring my chest and my body weight behind his tricep because it locks him in position. From here, I can come over and grab the back of the armpit or the tricep area, and now he's stuck. If he doesn't respond from here, I can put my left foot on the floor and use my right elbow to pull my right leg out, and I progress to attacking the back. Very often, what will happen here is once I drag across, he'll turn his body weight back towards me like this, and I can grab his leg, and now I'm gonna throw both legs high and rock him up here. This is a classic pendulum sweep, and I off balance him up towards mount like this.